We don't see a lot of crimes where we have victims on either side. It's a masterful use of people for the benefit of organized crime syndicates. Imagine a college campus, city blocks of dormitories with tens of thousands of people inside who've been human trafficked there, guarded by men with AK-47s. And they say, this is where we scam, and that's your job now. You don't get out. You are stuck in there and you are forced to do this work. It's prison.
I'm Shawnee Delaney. I spent years undercover as a Defense Intelligence Agency case officer.
And I'm Tyler Gray. I served as a U.S. Army Ranger sniper, as well as an assaulter in an elite Tier 1 counterterrorism unit. This is Control Room.
Welcome to Control Room. We have a very special guest today, someone who I have been connected with and following on LinkedIn for quite some time. Erin West, former prosecutor turned scam fighter. Erin, super happy to have you here. Tell us, where did you get into this line of work? This is not something the everyday prosecutor falls into.
No, it's funny. You think you know where your career is going to take you, but you have no idea. I was a prosecutor for 26 and a half years in Santa Clara County, and I went through all the different types of crime that you would prosecute as a prosecutor. And ultimately, I ended up in high-tech crime. I spent the last 8 years of my career doing high-tech crime, and the last 3 specifically prosecuting and investigating pig butchering cases.
When did you stop being a prosecutor? When did you leave and get into founding your organization?
So after 3 years of being really in the trenches of seeing victims being hit in a way that we had never seen before. We had never seen the amount of loss. We had never seen the amount of personal stress and devastation. And then realizing that this phenomenon was much bigger than the deluge of victims we were seeing in Santa Clara County. We learned that this is a worldwide phenomenon. And it was important to me to really raise awareness and build disruption tactics against transnational organized crime, which is where this was coming from. So I left my career as a prosecutor, I retired, and I started a nonprofit. And the mission of that nonprofit is to educate about, mobilize against, and disrupt transnational organized crime.
And that's Operation Shamrock.
It is.
And hopefully we can put, more awareness out there and try and get people aware of what's happening, both on a victim level, but also hopefully on a politician and policy level, because if more people knew what was going on, that things would change, because it's that extreme.
Well, I'm glad you're doing this podcast series because of that, because I think that sometimes we see things on the news and they are about a 70-year-old woman who has been induced to buy gift cards. And the fact is, this is coming for your neighbor and your cousin and somebody who is a parent in my kid's baseball team. That's the truth.
I think you just said something to me that's very interesting, and I don't think your average person knows that when you talk romance scams, pig butchering, all those different things, I think most people assume that it's, some person by themselves working for themselves, and it's not part of a bigger organization. I think that's going to be news to a lot of people. Can you kind of go into that? On what it really is, maybe versus what people's expectation of it would be?
Yeah, I think, in fact, I posted something about this on LinkedIn yesterday because I see a lot of people thinking it's funny to mess with scammers that are texting them. And so what I said was that, oh, you do? Okay, well, we'll talk about that.
I did.
Okay, well.
I won't.
Okay, so the thing is, this is happening in very industrialized, organized compounds with tens of thousands of people inside who've been human trafficked there. This is being run as a slave operation. The scale and gravity of what is happening, I think, is news to a lot of people, and we really need to expose the dangers of what is really happening.
Can you talk about the human trafficking angle a little bit more? So when you say human trafficking, some people don't quite know how to picture that. How does that work? How do the people get recruited? How do they come to find themselves in these fraud cities, if you will? What happens to them when they're there?
So I have talked to someone who is back home in Uganda after having been trafficked. And he was working in an internet cafe in Uganda making $100 a month. and a fellow Ugandan came in and said, I could get you $1,000 a month, but you got to go to Bangkok and it's a live work facility, but you'll be able, even if you just do it 6 months, that's $6,000. That's more than you could make in 5 years. And so this 23-year-old said, of course I'll go do that. That sounds great. And so this man who'd never been on a plane before, all of a sudden his passport is rushed through and he's able to get a passport in 2 days and is moved to Bangkok. When he gets to Bangkok, there is somebody who escorts him through immigration.
Wow.
And then there is someone standing outside who doesn't speak English, only Chinese, and puts him in the back of a car and drives him hours and hours and hours on end. And then makes him get out and get into another car, get out, get into another car, and then ultimately to a river where he is taken across a river. Then he is brought into this walled compound with men with AK-47s, and they say, okay, you're here now. And he says, this is not what I was told. Well, this is where we scam, and that's your job now. I don't know what you were told, but this is what you do.
Does it have a primary area where you're seeing it more than others?
Absolutely. This is Chinese organized crime. And I used to be really careful about saying that. And now I say it out loud, and I say it very loudly because that is what this is. This is a known, this is not a whodunit. This is a we know who did it. And this is how it's spreading. It's Chinese organized crime syndicates. The Chinese Communist Party will say, we have nothing to do with them. But these organized criminal syndicates are most definitely from China. The work is being done in Chinese. The shops inside these compounds are Chinese. There is no question that this is being run from Chinese organized criminals. And when I say that, I mean the triad. I mean known figures like Broken Tooth Koi. We know who these bad actors are.
But they also are operating in other countries. Like I know that you've done videos in was it Vietnam or
Yes.
Laos?
Golden Triangle?
Yeah, so let me tell you more about
Thailand.
that because it's actually not happening in China. China will not allow this to happen within their own borders. So what they have done is they have moved this operation to Cambodia, to Myanmar, to the Philippines, to places where they can induce people to look the other way. And that's what they've been able to do in Cambodia. That's what they've been able to do. Myanmar right now is being run by military juntas. And the amount of money that is in this crime is so overwhelmingly staggering that there's really no one that can't be bought to look the other way. And so that's what's happening in some of these countries. Now, in 2022, when I first started looking at this, it was primarily Southeast Asia. But now Chinese organized crime has realized there are other places where they can also do this work and get away with it. We know that they are in Dubai. We've seen them bust places in Peru. We know that this is spreading. We know that they're in Africa. And so what we're really looking at is a global threat rising to the level of a nation state, that the amount of money controlled by these organizations, it's 60% of the Cambodian GDP.
So Erin, I know that you've gone overseas, you've visited a bunch of these cities. I mean, there are actually cities set up like this. Can you walk people through what does this look like? What is a day in the life of? What do the facilities look like? Because you have a lot of videos online with this stuff.
What you see at ground level is blocks and blocks and blocks, city blocks of dormitories. You are stuck in there and you are forced to do this work. And a day in a life for them is they are awake on the American or whatever time zone they are targeting. So they're awake while we're awake. And if they meet their quota, they're able to have dinner and go home. If they don't meet their quota, they're up overnight continuing to try and locate targets. There are a number of different jobs that you have if you're in there. And the first job, your entry-level job, is to find targets. And that's to go through Facebook and create fake profiles, go through LinkedIn, create fake profiles, and then try to instigate conversations with people.
And they take passports, correct?
They take your passport, they take your mobile phone, and you're stuck. And the torture, the brutality of what happens in there is worthy of a trigger warning. They do horrible things to the level of war crimes type offenses on these people who have been misled.
One thing I always thought about when I saw you in these locations, in these cities, you're filming, you have video footage, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend people check it out. Were you ever afraid for your personal safety going and documenting this and spreading the word?
It's not a comfortable place to be. Yes, you're standing on the bank of a river looking over at a penal colony and knowing that people are inside that are getting tortured. So yeah, no, it's not comfortable.
I have to ask the next question. The human trafficking component is obviously horrible, and it's crazy that it's happening. At least from an American, perspective, when you look at it, I can't believe that's happening in the world today. That's what I always think about human trafficking. But I have to jump to this. What about when AI can replace all those human trafficking? That has to be the next step, because look, it's horrible what they're doing, but that's a lot of work that they have to manage people. Obviously it's horrible, but logistically, they have to want to sub those people out with AI soon.
Absolutely.
And that's gonna make it even more dangerous, I believe.
I think it's going to make it a lot more dangerous. And I know you've talked to Perry Carpenter on this, and so you know about the growth of AI and deepfakes. And what we know is that they're already in use and could be just as capable of building that relationship with your mom or my cousin.
Or more capable.
Right. And right. I mean, to be honest, they're not the headache of dealing with people.
They're cheaper.
They're cheaper. And so, yes, to me, that is cause for significant alarm, that this is what they're doing now, where they still have to manage a workforce of hundreds of thousands of unhappy people.
Yeah.
Imagine what they could do when you remove that barrier and make it and
100%.
Wire it even easier for them.
And do it 24 hours a day,
Exactly. And what I would say about that is this is the time to start looking at what we can control and what is an American piece of this that can't be overlooked. And when we look at that, we look at what is enabling this to happen. We look at the social media that's allowing this to take place on their platforms. We look at Starlink, which is the means of which these communications are transferred. This is all being done on Apple phones. There are pieces of this that are American. Inside the United States, there are courier operations that will come to your door and pick up $180,000 in cash from you. There's plenty that can be done on American soil, and whether it's good police work with these couriers or whether it's public pressure and political pressure against the very American companies that are benefiting during the demise of the middle class that's getting really turned upside down.
It's offensive. What they're doing is literally really destroying so many things in this country. I guess what I'm saying is the effect, yes, it's a criminal organization, but the effect, in my opinion, is disproportionate to even what's happening.
The effect is chaos. And so what is happening in the United States, I think we can think about, and other countries that are victimized financially, like we think, okay, so somebody lost some money. We're talking about with this crime, the crime doesn't end until they've taken every penny you have. That is the difference between pig butchering and any other romance scam that you might be familiar with. And what they do when they take your money is they create this fictitious relationship where you believe that you're with someone you're going to spend your life in. They then show you that they're living this really plush lifestyle and that you too could live that lifestyle if you invested in cryptocurrency. So it's not what people think. People think you're giving money to someone you don't know. No, you are making an investment guided by someone who is driving a Range Rover and is able to travel and lives a really elevated lifestyle. So our victims are investing in cryptocurrency, and they see, they start off small. They start off with a $5,000 investment. They are led to put it into this platform recommended by the scammers that's completely fictitious. So when they put the money in there, they see a fictitious dashboard that makes it look like they are having these exponential growth. So what happens at the end of it is when they want to take that money out, that's when they're hit with the taxes. And that's when people are going to their banks and getting loans. And so by the time they get to me, they've lost everything they have. They've got a $250,000 loan, and they literally don't know how they're going to pay their mortgage. They've gone from a family that was independently able to support themselves and put people through college to now needing assistance from the state.
But I want to kind of dig in a little bit more about the platforms that people are getting contacted on. So if I am, maybe I don't have social media, maybe I'm just kind of a normal person, how would I potentially be a victim? I'm not on Instagram.
Do you have a phone?
Posting. Yeah.
Well, they'll text you.
Okay.
They'll text you.
What will they text me?
They will text you, do you want to come over for ribs tonight?
Well, that sounds delicious.
Right?
Yes.
That's what I said. Or they'll text you, I'm at the airport, can you pick me up? Or I'm trying to bring my dog in for an appointment, is this the right number?
And why does that work?
Well, it'll appeal to someone who's not on social media, quite frankly, because someone who's not on social media might care about a dog that needs to come in and get an appointment. But the point is, it's not necessarily whether that will work. I'll tell you why that works, actually. It works because we are, trusting. We are, by our nature, generally kind people who don't want someone left at an airport or a dog needing to get fixed.
Helpful.
We're helpful. We want to help. We want to believe the best about everyone. So we're going to respond to that. And then what's going to happen, guaranteed, next, is an attractive young Asian woman's picture is going to show up and she's going to say, hi, I'm Jessica. I hope I'm not disturbing you. And while the people watching this, or the three of us sitting here might think, I'm not going to respond to that, I'll tell you what, there are tens of thousands of people that are responding to that.
You talk about all the different emotions that they're manipulating, and Perry said it again, but it's worth bringing up, is loneliness currently, we're in an ever-connected world currently, and yet in many ways, we're more disconnected than we've ever been. And so there's an epidemic of loneliness, and they're using that to scam people out of money. And it's tragic on a scale that I don't think we've seen, at least in my lifetime. It's crazy.
No, it's absolutely crazy. And they've weaponized the dream. That's how I talk about it. I talk about that they've sold a dream. And the dream is that you could be with this person who really cares about you and understands you, gets you, loves you, and also happens to be wealthy. And also you could be wealthy too. It's a dream that combines two different types of hormones that it is very difficult to undo when we find a victim, and to explain that isn't your friend. One of the things we know about this crime is, just like we talked about, it's difficult to know exactly how big the problem is. But what we do know are the numbers from the FBI. And we ask everybody to report to the IC3, the Internet Crime Complaint Center. That's the internet portal run by FBI. We know that when you add up in the United States for the year 2024 only, you are looking at combining investment scams and romance scams, nearly $7 billion. Now, we know that a lot of people do not report this, and it's conservative to say 1 in 7 reports. So if 1 in 7 reports, that's a $50 billion loss from the United States alone in 2024 alone. We're talking about a generation's worth of wealth that is being taken household by household in the United States. Now, if $50 billion were being stolen from any other industry, we would know about it, and there would be all kinds of news about what's happening. But the fact is, the enemy is ingenious the way they are pulling it from people who independently and individually don't make a big racket. They've been able to steal tens of billions of dollars without most people even knowing about it, because people don't want to talk about it. So when we look at what's happening in a country like Cambodia, where prior to 2022, their biggest industries were tourism and garments. Now their biggest industry is without a doubt scamming, and it's $13 billion of their economy. That's 60% of their GDP.
And are there certain types of people they're targeting?
I wish it were that easy, quite frankly, because I think the media would like you to believe that this is something targeting the elder population. In fact, this is they're targeting anyone that has $1. They're targeting anyone that has a pound or a euro. They are after anybody that has money. So when they join groups on Facebook, they will join anyone that they think has money.
Wow, okay.
Our social media is inundated with fictitious people.
I want to say this. The most important thing that anyone can learn, in my opinion, is a reverse Google image search. Like, it's crazy to me how many people, it's like watching that show,
Catfish.
And I'm like, how do these people none of them had ever done a Google image search. Like, if you don't know how to do a Google image search, it's pretty simple. Go to Google image, drop the picture in there and search, it'll show you where else it pops up. That, like, if everyone knew that, I don't know, I think it would reduce their power by, 70%. It's that extreme.
Especially for online dating. And there's also
100%.
PIMEYES, PIMEYES, that you can do the same thing, put the photo in and see it's been used 8,000 other places.
What is it? Sorry?
PIMEYES.
PIMEYES. PIMEYES.
Yeah.
Oh, how do you spell that?
PIMEYES.
Okay, that's a website? Okay, so either Google image search or PIMEYES.
Yeah. What's the worst story that you've heard as far as someone being scammed? Just the most egregious.
The egregiousness is the dozens and dozens and dozens that I could tell you. I'll give you it. There's a lot of adult children who are realizing that something's happening to their parent. And one called me one day and said, my mom called because she needed help paying her mortgage. And I said, Mom, you don't have a mortgage on the condo. And she said, oh, I do now.
Oh, no.
It's things like that. And that, but it's not just that. I mean, if you really, like, there are horrifying stories. There are stories of people dying in their homes with no heat anymore because they don't have any money to pay heat. Like, this is happening at scale in the United States, and you don't know about it.
So I will say, and she's going to kill me, she does know that I talk about this publicly, though, on stage at least. My mother was scammed. She lost $40,000, and part of it was a gift card scam. And they gave her instructions. You have to buy the gift cards from different stores. You need to come back, scratch them off, give us the numbers. I actually found her scratching them off and tried to explain to her what was going on, and she would not listen to me. At the time, I was getting a master's in cybersecurity, so I was like, I know what I'm talking about. But, daughter and mother, like, whatever. But I've talked to her about, like, why don't you kind of talk about it more, tell your friends? And she said she's just too embarrassed. She can't believe, she used to be a police officer at Santa Clara County, actually. She can't believe that she fell for something like this. And that's why when people say, oh, it happens only to the elderly or people who are ignorant, that's not true. My mom is a very smart lady. And the guy emotionally manipulated her. He built a friendship with her, which is a natural human trait. You need that human connection. Talked about his sick mom and his kids, called her every day, got to know her. And when I confronted her and told her this is what's happening, her first reaction was, but he's my friend. He would never do that.
I think exactly what you're spelling out shows how sophisticated the enemy is. We are not talking anymore about a group of people inside an apartment in Nigeria. That's still happening, but the real threat is coming from this industrialized group that is using a script. And they're using a script that's tried and true and works. Yeah. And what they are providing is exactly what your mom said, is they're providing the kind of relationship that is lacking elsewhere. Yeah. And they can provide it, and people are drawn to that because people want companionship. People want someone paying attention to them.
You've mentioned before that the rate of reporting of these crimes is incredibly low. What can we do to take the stigma out of it? What can we do to shift it so people feel comfortable and not so embarrassed or ashamed?
It's a hard one to do just because of the nature of the crime. But what we need to start doing is normalizing the idea that you will be hit with a scam. We just talked about it. You're hit with scams every day, and for most of them, we can recognize them for what they are. But you will fall victim to a scam at some point. And the more we can start exposing, here's the scam that's happening today. If someone asks you to buy gold bars, that's a scam, period. If someone directs you to go to a crypto ATM, that is a scam. If the more we can just start pointing out pieces of this scam so that it's recognizable to people, and the more we can point out, you said it yourself, your mom's a brilliant person. I've never had a call with a victim where they haven't said, Erin, I want you to know I'm a really smart person, because they are. One of the first victims I talked to has a PhD. These are judges, doctors, these are people in finance. I talked to a bank president last week. These are our normal citizenry that are being hit with these.
These are humans.
These are regular people who are trusting and want love or attention or anything that people want. So how do we get them to report? Well, number one, we're ready for them when they come into law enforcement. That's part of the work of Operation Shamrock, is lead with empathy. These people are going to come in and they're going to report a crime that if you are a law enforcement officer, it may not sound like something that would have happened to you. But you need to meet them where they are, and you need to take that report. You need to get the information they need.
Remove the judgment.
Remove the judgment.
Yeah.
First of all, what's happening to these victims is they are coming to law enforcement and not getting help. And so then that leads them to Google every 3-letter agency in government and report there. And so they're becoming exhausted with reporting to agencies that may or may not be doing anything with those reports. What we really need for victims is to have a place where they can report that is focused on taking a scam report and getting the information that's necessary to investigate that.
You're describing a one-stop shop.
That's exactly
what
I'm
novel
describing.
idea.
Right?
When my mom got scammed, we contacted a lawyer, we contacted the bank, FTC, FBI. Like, we were so lost in what do we do? Who do we, local law enforcement? We did not know where to go. And none of them, everyone did this.
Yes, they did.
Call them.
It's almost like we need a scam concierge.
Yeah.
We need some sort of ombudsman. And so that's part of Operation Shamrock. So if you go to Operation Shamrock, we have a website, and you can report a scam from there. And if you report a scam from there, one of our trained investigators will look at that report in real time and provide you with an answer. And that is what's been lacking for so many of these victims for so long, is exactly what you're saying. They should look at this. This sounds federal. This is international. We can't do anything about it. Victims just need someone to give them accurate information and not lead them to believe anything else. Because the other piece that we haven't discussed yet is the secondary scamming. And that is, our victims go to report, they get no help, and so they start finding somebody who can trace their cryptocurrency. And that fly-by-night operation is going to charge them $10,000 and provide them with nothing that is helpful to law enforcement. The truth of the matter is, if you have had money stolen from you, the only people who can get it back for you are law enforcement. So any of these scam operations that are offering to trace it and get it back for you are exactly scams. But these victims are so desperate for help.
I feel like you need to say that again. I mean, seriously, like, you can't get it back on your own. You have to report it. You have to go to law enforcement.
Yes.
And that's what I really, really respect about you, is that you are a woman of action. You are not just talking about it. You are going there. You are doing investigative journalism, essentially. You are showing videos. You are educating people on what the ground truth really is. And you're spreading the word more than anyone else I've ever met or I've ever heard of. So mad respect for you.
That's the prosecutor in you.
Thank you. Yes, I come from a place of fairness, and this is not fair. What is happening is not fair. And so the way to get fairness back is to educate people about what is happening, and then they can make a choice of where they want to put their money. It's just not fair what's happening to people.
All right, Erin, we're going to play a little game. We're going to do speed round questions. Question number 1, in 10 seconds or less, what is pig butchering?
Pig butchering is a long con. It is a romance/investment scheme.
What's your go-to fake name when you sign up for something or order a coffee?
Melissa Randolph.
All right. What's the dumbest password you've ever seen someone use in real life?
Password 123.
Have you ever fallen for a scam, yes or no?
Yes.
Can you tell us about it?
Yes.
This is not speed round, but I'm curious.
Yeah, so what happened, the thing I always say about scams is they don't get you on your best day. They get you when you're flustered, when you're overworked, when you're tired. So one night I was on LinkedIn and I was conversing with a victim who was just really disappointed and understandably frustrated with things. And I was telling him the truth about what to expect, and he didn't like those answers, which I understand. And we both left the conversation frustrated. I woke up the next morning and there was an email, and it said, the more I think about it, the more I think you actually don't care about victims and you're just doing this for your own interest. In fact, I wrote a post about it.
Oh no.
Click
Was
here.
it from that dude?
Well, I just assumed it was because your brain connects things to make them work, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, I do care about victims. What did you say? And I clicked on it and I was like, okay, that was a phishing scam. So the thing is, they're gonna get you where they know to get you. If
Where
you
it
want to get
hurts.
Erin
That's where it
West, you're
hurts.
going to tell her she doesn't care about victims. She'll click on that.
That's fair. Thank you for sharing that. What social platform is most dangerous for ordinary people?
Facebook.
If every American did just one thing to protect themselves, what would it be?
Assume that any incoming email communication is a scam until proven otherwise.
What's one identity theft issue that keeps you up at night?
I think the fact that we cannot trust the identities of people that we are meeting online, that when we don't know who is behind these profiles, it's too easy to get fake profiles. And so the identity issue to me is you don't know who you're talking to.
What's the one cyber threat that keeps you up at night?
It's pig butchering.
Yeah.
It's essentially that every day that we don't do something about this, it gets exponentially worse.
It's almost like deep fake pig butchering is like that's like the big bad that's coming around the corner. That it's not prolific yet, but it will be, and that's a worse level than we're even currently seeing.
Yeah, actually, I would say my biggest fear, expanding on that, my biggest fear is that they will take control of our infrastructure in terms of water, travel, electricity, and that we will be in utter chaos because we're not prepared for that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I know that you're making a difference.
Thank you.
One day at a time, one victim at a time, and hopefully you sleep very, very well at night knowing that you truly, truly are making a difference.
Thank you.
So if people want to learn more, if they want to donate, I'm assuming people can donate.
Sure, yeah.
How can they find you?
So we're operationshamrock.org, easy to find. I'm on LinkedIn. I post every day about something else on LinkedIn at Erin West. And so, that's the best way to reach me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Hey everyone, it's Shani. I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you, truly, for spending time with us this year. We are going to be taking just a short break for the holidays, but new episodes will come back Wednesday, January 7th. Until then, please rest, breathe, and spend time with the people that matter most to you. Please stay safe, and I wish you a wonderful holiday season.